So, hello everybody and welcome. Yes, welcome back here at BSN Network. Here we go back here, BSN Network. This is BSN Network podcast here today. It is Tuesday, February 2nd. Hope everyone's having a good day so far and a good rest of their day. Yesterday, it is in fact Tuesday, February 2nd. We are 2 days into the new month of February, only 4 days, right? 4 days away from the Super Bowl, however you want to count it. If you want to count today or not count today, whatever. We are now just a couple days away from Super Bowl 55, so that is super exciting. As a matter of fact, I said how last week I was going to each day do something on the Super Bowl. Starting tomorrow, I will be doing that. With the breaking news with the Matthew Stafford trade and Nolan Arenado, I figured I'll do that tomorrow. So I'm just going to do it tomorrow since there's so much other news. I'm going to do the offenses tomorrow, which is a Wednesday. Then Thursday, I'll do the defenses for both teams. And now we'll lead up to Friday to where it is my game pick, doing a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all that good Super Bowl stuff. And then ultimately, the Super Bowl is right around the corner. It's super exciting. I'm excited. Should be a very, very, very good game. I think it is going to be a good game. I'm not just saying that. I think it's going to be a good game. And ultimately, I think everything will go smoothly, too, with the whole COVID testing and all that stuff. So, Rangers coming off of a big win yesterday against the Penguins. Very big win for the New York Rangers. A lot has been happening around this team, around this organization, around this. We had a player get dropped on waivers. We had some, players, off the field issue with the team. So a couple things have been happening with this team, but ultimately everything is now okay. We have now won a game yesterday. We are 3-4-2 on the season. So a big win for us yesterday. We have a day off today, day off tomorrow. Then we play again on Thursday. The Nets play tonight. If everything goes well with Kentucky, we should be back on the floor tomorrow against Missouri. We were, I think, originally supposed to play today, but it got bumped back to tomorrow. So if everything goes well with Kentucky, we should be going tomorrow. Nets play today, off tomorrow. And I'm not sure if they're off. I think they might be off Thursday as well. Then they play up Friday, Saturday, back-to-back. So we'll see how that goes. But, it should be exciting. A lot of sports, football. Super Bowl's right around the corner. Nets, Rangers are fresh right into their season. Nets are, 13-9, so they're 22 games in. And the Rangers are only 9 games in with a 3-4-2 record. So NHL, NBA is rolling. MLB right around the corner. And the NFL is, got one more big game left, and it should be good. So these are the topics for today's podcast. We got Phillies. Today we got Phillies re-sign Didi Gregorius. We'll talk about that. I really think this is a big move. I really like Didi Gregorius. As a matter of fact, I think Didi Gregorius is one of the more underrated players, not just at the shortstop position, but just in the entire MLB. I really think he's been really good. So, obviously, it's obviously going to be super interesting to see how he does there. But he signs a 2-year extension with the Philadelphia Phillies to stay in Philadelphia. They now re-sign Real Muto. They now re-sign Didi, and they now have a pretty solid foundation there for a possible playoff push. So that should be good for the Phillies. And then the MLB season plan has came out. The MLB has made a plan for the 2021 season. Looks like everything should be starting on time. 162-game season. Pitchers, catchers, guys like that report. Spring training starts February 17th. And the season starts April 1st. Opening day is obviously April 1st. So currently, the MLB is looking like it's on track to play a full 162 games and a full schedule, which is super exciting because I'm obviously ready for the season to start up already. Obviously, the 60-game season was so quick. It's now over, obviously. It was so quick, and once it ended, I wanted baseball back. So it's great to see that the baseball is going to be back very soon. So that is good. We'll talk about that. The plan, give you kind of what's supposed to look like, what it's going to be like, give you that. And then college basketball, NBA, NHL, and then your rest, and fantasy as well, and then your rest of your New York sports update to end the podcast. Yet another packed podcast. Baseball news is going crazy right now because we are now only about 15 days away from spring training starting. Baseball news is going insane with these last-second signings of free agents. I'm sure. There's no way Trevor Bauer's got to get picked up by a team. I thought for sure he was going to get picked up like 2 weeks ago. I was wrong about that. And now he's obviously, or even last week I said I was wrong about that. He's still not been picked up. So we'll keep an eye on it. But Didi Gregorius, a guy who took a long time. He took a long time, obviously, to. He took a very, 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 very long time to re-sign with the Phillies, but ultimately they got it done. He re-signed with them, and he's headed back to Philadelphia to play another season there. So, or another 2 seasons there. So, so with all that being said, this is the BSN podcast, and let's get right into it. So Didi Gregorius and Phillies reportedly agreed to 2-year, $28 million contract extension, obviously, with the Philadelphia Phillies. Didi Gregorius being a shortstop. He used to play for the New York Yankees. He played a little bit with the Diamondbacks, came to the Yankees. He really revamped his career here with the New York Yankees, I would say. He really revamped his career with us. I think a lot of people can agree on that, not just myself. I think a lot of people can agree that he truly did revamp his career with the New York Yankees. Obviously, he was okay with the Arizona Diamondbacks. He was still kind of young, so I guess he was kind of one of those guys that he was still coming into the league, still learning, still still kind of learning the game and stuff. So it was obviously maybe a little different with him. But when he came to the Yankees, he was definitely. He had some big shoes to fill. Obviously, he came to the Yankees after Derek Jeter retired. Had some very big shoes to fill. No one really was expecting him to play that well. No one was really, he came onto this team to be, maybe a guy that would be okay. And he really took us by storm. He surprised us. He did everything he could that filled in the big shoes of Derek Jeter. Obviously, we had our starting shortstop for years, like 20 years there. Derek Jeter came into the league in 94, played up until 14. We had him forever. He barely missed any games. He was always there. He really never even played DH. He was always there. It wasn't like some nights he was playing DH, others he was playing shortstop. He was always there. Like, that's one position the New York Yankees throughout all the years never had to worry about. And then Didi Gregorius coming onto the scene. At the time, not many people really knew what to expect. He was a young guy that was a little rough. He had a rocky start to his career with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Wasn't really known. Had his struggles. I would say he struggled probably more than he had. He probably struggled more than when he had good games. He probably had more bad games than good games with the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Yankees took a chance on him. They picked him up. And his first season, really his first couple of weeks with the team, all these Yankees fans just grew up to love him, and that's really what it is. We took him in, as like a new guy and stuff, and he ended up playing 4 really good years with us. He proved to us every single year that he was not a one-year wonder. He had the great first year, was a one-year wonder. People were wondering, is this guy going to be a one-year wonder? Is he going to come back next season and just stink? He came back the next season and did even better. Then came back the next season, did even better. And then once again, the next year did even better. He played a solid 4 years with us. And he was really fun. As a fan, it was so much fun to watch him. He just loves the game of baseball. He's one of these guys that goes out there every day, wants to win, wants to compete, and ultimately is the ultimate competitor. He loves the game. He loves to play, and that's why that's why I think he settled with a 2-year contract. This is not a guy that's going to go out there and ask for a 5-year, $150 million deal. This is a guy who's going to want his money. Obviously, everyone's going to want to get paid. You don't want to do it for free, but everyone's going to want to get paid. He's going to get his money, but ultimately he's doing this not because of all the money. He's doing this because he ultimately loves the sport of baseball, and that's what I really like. He's a not selfish guy. He's not going to be a guy. He's a team player. If the coach puts him at batting first, if the coach puts him batting last, he'll do whatever he needs to do to help the team win and ultimately try to help the team win a World Series, whether he's on the Phillies or even when he was on the Yankees. With the Diamondbacks, he's so young in his career, you really didn't know, but he really revamped his career with the Yankees. The Yankees took a chance on him. The Yankees took a chance on him. And I think a lot of Phillies fans today and a lot of sports fans to begin with in baseball, in a way you have to kind of say thank you to the Yankees because the Yankees took a chance on him. If the Yankees don't take a chance on him, Didi Gregorius might be in the minor leagues right now. Whatever he did in that offseason that just propelled him to fill the shoes of Derek Jeter and go out there and play really, really well. Now, he was not Derek Jeter, no. First of all, he played only 4 years without Jeter, played, 20? So you can't even compare the stats. But he did everything he could, and he did it the best to his ability. And this is a guy that's going to go out there every night, every game, compete. And this is another dude that you cannot be worrying about that's going to be lazy. You're not going to worry about him being lazy. You're not going to worry about him starting locker room problems. If anything, if there is a locker room problem, he's going to be that guy that's going to stop, and he's going to bring that guy that's going to be able to bring the team together. He's a very good team player. Like I said, this is not a guy that's going to complain. This is not a guy that's going to complain on where he's batting in the batting order, whether he's batting first, whether he's batting fifth, whether he's batting last. He's going to do whatever he does. He's going to make the most of his opportunity when he gets up there at the plate or when he gets the ball coming to him at the field. He's going to do whatever he can to help the team win. And I'll tell you what, I can't say more positive things about him. I was really upset when the Yankees never re-signed him and let him go. Obviously, the Phillies got him. When he was a free agent this year, I was really hoping that, if the Yankees didn't re-sign LeMahieu and Gleyber Torres went back to second, I was really hoping the Yankees would either get Gregorius or Lindor. Obviously, LeMahieu re-signed. Gleyber Torres is going to be at shortstop now. But obviously, even just to have him back on the team would just be amazing. He was so much fun to watch in pinstripes. And I remember one of the games I was watching, I think it was against the Tampa Bay Rays. It was his last season, I think, with the team in 2019. It was obviously, I don't think it was a playoff game, but it was definitely later on in the year because I remember it being a pretty cold game. But I remember him stepping up at the plate. It was like the 8th inning or something. The Yankees were down by 3. We had no energy whatsoever. We weren't scoring any runs. It was like 3-0 or something like that. And, we just weren't scoring any runs. We were getting guys on base, and we just weren't able to drive them in. And it was bases loaded, and Didi comes up. And I don't know what Didi was doing for the game or something or whatever, but he ended up hitting a home run. He ended up hitting a grand slam. I remember it was second deck, right field with that short porch. It was an absolute laser of a bomb. The thing was just absolutely destroyed. The crowd went insane, and I think the Yankees ended up winning that game 8-9 to 4 or something, because then I think Hicks came up, and he ended up hitting a home run. What Didi did that game just absolutely put juice into this team, and we just went running after that. I remember, I don't know if I remember the exact score, but I do think it was against the Rays, and I do remember where it went. It did go second deck, right field, short porch, left-handed hitter. Really loved to use that short porch in right field. And I remember that I think there was a back-to-back home run. I don't know if it was Hicks or someone else, but I think it was Hicks because I think Hicks ended up hitting it short porch as well. He's obviously a switch hitter. He came up at the bat at lefty. And I remember we ended up winning that game 9-4 or something. He completely just added, we had 9 runs in 2 innings. It was insane. He just completely added all everything. We got the energy sucked out of us, and then we got it sucked, and we got it and then we got it blown right back into us. It was insane. It was almost even as a fan, you were sitting there sitting there watching the game, and you were just yeah, this one's over. And Didi steps up, bases loaded. And as a fan, you're not really hopeful because we couldn't drive in runs that game anyway. And then Didi just steps up and hits an absolute bomb. Had to be one of the longer home runs he hit at Yankee Stadium. Crowd went insane. Bench went insane. I went insane, and we ended up winning that game, obviously, and it was a ton of fun. But the Phillies are going to get one heck of a player. And like I said early on in the podcast, I think he's one of the more underrated shortstops in the MLB, and I think this is part of the reason because he's not going to be one of those guys that's going to go out there and ask for the big contract. He's not going to be a guy that's going to take – it's not going to take him – he's not going to, almost like a Trevor Bauer right now. He's being patient. He's trying. It's almost like Trevor Bauer's purposely letting. It's almost like Trevor Bauer's almost in a way is purposely being the last free agent on the board just so everyone could have attention to him and stuff like that. And that's the same thing with Didi. Didi just signed this deal, right? Didi, I'm sure, looked at other teams. I'm sure other teams looked at Didi. But ultimately, Didi able to re-sign with the Phillies. And I know everyone's been talking about Real Muto and talking about Springer and talking about Bauer and talking about this guy. The trade with Arenado. But I'll tell you what, this might be one of the best free agent moves so far for the Phillies to re-sign this guy. Because they know, too. This is their shortstop. This is their starting shortstop. They get him go. And that's another thing with Didi, too. I know I explained the Grand Slam home run. But this is a guy that is a very good contact hitter and very quick on the bases, which also makes him a very good infielder. He's got very good lateral quickness. It's a guy that can get to his right, get to his left in a matter of no time. Like I said, he's very good in the infield. This is not a guy. As a matter of fact, he might even be better. He might even be better fielding than hitting. But I don't want to make that because I got to look at the numbers, really. I got to look at the analytic stuff, where he hits the ball, the percentages, and then, the percentage of plays that he makes at the base, how many errors and stuff. I would really have to look at the numbers there. But I think, if you just look at him and you watch, the eye test shows you he's a very good hitter, but his fielding is even next level. Like I said, Jeter made some insane plays with the New York Yankees. One of the best shortstops of all time. He went down. He made some. I don't have to talk about Derek Jeter. We all know who he is. Didi Gregorius, on the other hand, when he came here, that was something that Yankees fans love to see. We saw that for many years with Derek Jeter, and then for Didi to come here, we were so afraid of losing that. And then he came here and he started flashing the leather and he started playing well and he started making these highlight all-star plays. He started doing all this different stuff. So the Phillies are getting really good. And I'll tell you what, the Phillies are making moves, and this is going to affect other NL East teams because the Phillies got Real Muto back. They're getting Didi back. And to tell you what, they're getting him back at $28 million. That's not that crazy. I mean, what? That's 14 million a year. That's not crazy. It is a good amount of money, but still. He's only 30 years old, so, he's 30 years old. He's been in the league since 2012. He obviously played 2 years with them and then came to the Yankees and played 4 to 5 years with us, and then obviously played 1 year with the Phillies last season and is now back with the Phillies again. So the Phillies are getting a good team. I'll tell you what. The Phillies they're going to be a team you're going to have to watch for because they're not going to be one of these teams that you're just going to be able to, really just they're not going to be one of these teams that, it's just going to be, it's the Phillies this week or, it's the Phillies tonight, easy win. No, the Phillies are going to be in there. They're going to make things interesting. And I really feel like if you give the Phillies time, last season they started off insane and they ended up missing the playoffs. If you give the Phillies time and you be patient with them, they can definitely make an impact in a 162-game season, which I'll get to in the next topic. So, a big deal for the Phillies. And like I said, I really think they're signing a guy that's really going to make a difference. Didi Gregorius, Phillies reportedly agreed to 2-year, $28 million contract. Shortstop Didi Gregorius is staying with the Philadelphia Phillies. The 30-year-old agreed to a 2-year contract to remain in Philadelphia on Saturday, according to Jason Stark of The Athletic. Ken Rosenthal of The Athletic added the deal is worth $28 million. This comes after Gregorius signed a 1-year, $14 million pact with the Philadelphia for the 2021 campaign. He appeared in 60 games and slashed .284, .339, and .488 with 10 home runs and 40 RBIs. It was an impressive bounce-back performance through the uncertainty that hovered over the COVID-19 shortened season. While Philadelphia missed the playoffs, the Dutchman showed the 2019 season was more of an anomaly than a worrisome sign. Gregorius appeared in just 82 games in 2019 for the New York Yankees because of Tommy John surgery, and was not his usual self at the dish, posting a .238, .276, .441 slash line. That it came after the best stretch of his career was all the more notable. Like I said, the best he did. I do remember he did get injured. He struggled a little bit, but even it was even just he just came up with some clutch hits even with us. But the final here that it came after the best stretch of his career. It's the truth. His best stretch of his career with the Yankees. He revamped his career with the New York Yankees. In a way, this is almost like a Gio Urshela thing. Urshela's bouncing around, played a little bit with the Indians in farm systems. Came to the Yankees, got a chance. He's revamped his career. Look at us. He's one of the better defensive players in all the league now, right? So it's the truth there. He also played for the Cincinnati Reds and Arizona Diamondbacks early in his career, but was at his best for the New York Yankees from 2016 to 2018. He tallied at least 20 home runs in each of those 3 seasons. And after rarely showing power in the first 4 years in the league, right? So first 4 years of his career was just not that good. Came to the Yankees, and all of a sudden, just something switched. Gregorius also played head-turning defense and was responsible for 8 defensive runs saved at shortstop in 2017. The effort stood in sharp contrast of the rest of his career, considering he has never had another season with a better than 3 defensive runs saved at shortstop, and it's -7 since entering the major leagues, per Fangraphs. Gregorius will be 31 years old when the 2020 season begins. And he showed he is still in his prime as a hitter, even if he may never return to the fielder he was during the middle of his time with the Yankees. He will look to be a key offensive force for the Philadelphia again as he aims to add to his 28 career postseason games. So, will be 31 years old when the 2020 season starts. So, he's still in his prime. And that's the thing. His prime was kind of a little bit delayed because a lot of times guys' primes, right, he was 4 years, about 5 years into his career was his prime. He was a little delayed. A lot of times guys' primes usually happen. Actually, maybe not. Yeah, because 4 years, right? I mean, Mahomes right now is in his prime, right? So that's like his. Although I can't be comparing Mahomes to anyone really, because Mahomes is just on another level. But to be 4 years into your career, then to hit your prime, I guess that's possible. Because I guess your prime could technically start second year of your career. I mean, your prime is usually when you're the youngest part of your career, and then as you get older, you start to lose it a little bit, just because your body gets older. You just start to get worn down, especially in football. Football, a lot of times you see guys prime. That's why sometimes guys' primes are so short. Their prime might only last from the second year of their career to like the 5th or 6th. And after that, it's really just meh after that. For example, there's some like Calvin Megatron. His prime was really from year 1 to year 7, but he only played 7 years. So, if he continued to play, could his prime have stretched another 3-4 more years? We don't really know. But there's a lot of guys out there that primes, could start, really. I mean, like Mahomes. Technically, he was in his prime his second year. I mean, if Mahomes isn't in his prime right now, then his prime is just going to be like just mind-boggling. But I think he is anyway. But big deal for the Phillies, and I really liked him as a Yankee, and that might be because that might be some of the reason why I think this is such a really good deal, because I just like him, and I wanted to see him get re-signed. There's always going to be some of those players that, go through the season as a free agent, and when I kept on seeing Didi's name still on the board, as, other guys' names fly off the board, and there's only a few remaining now, I was like, yeah, okay, and then they obviously came in, swooped him up, and signed him. And he's with the Phillies for another 2 years. And I'll tell you what, I think if he continues to play at the high level he is, I wouldn't be surprised if they sign him again to another 2-3 year deal. But, he's going to be 31, 2 years, he's going to be like 33, so, 34-ish. So, he might be getting older, but definitely going to be with the Phillies for another 2 years. And it's going to be interesting to see how this deal works out. But like I said, I really think this is going to be a Phillies team you're going to have to watch out for. You give them time, you give them time and stuff like that. It should be should be good there. So we'll see what happens. But like I said, I think it's gonna be an interesting season, to be honest, with this Phillies team. I think they have a good shot, but it's gonna be an interesting season in the NL East, because you have guys like you have teams like the Mets, right, or the Marlins coming off of a playoff season, right? Are they going to be able to bounce back? You have a team like the Mets with all these high expectations. Then you have teams like the Nationals, who are only a year removed from making the World Series and winning it. Struggled last season, though. Do they come back in a normal season, normal circumstances, and come back and play again and play better? Then you have the team like the Braves, who was up 3-1 against the Dodgers, one win away from making the World Series, ended up blowing it. Then you have teams like the Phillies, who every year they start off strong but end bad. So what is it? What are you going to get? It's going to be really interesting. NL East is almost like the NFC East. NFC East in the NFL is almost like the NL East in the MLB. I'm not just saying that just because, just other teams are in it, like, the Jets or the Mets and the Giants are, but I'm not just saying that because but the Mets, it's the truth, though. Like, every year it's almost like they're like, it's so weird. It's not a weak division. It's just so unpredictable because technically, if you look at it, you have one good team, and that's the Braves, or maybe two good teams. The Marlins, I don't know if you could trust them. The Mets, you don't know if you could trust them. The Phillies, currently, you don't know if you could trust them either. I've said on this podcast that they probably will be a playoff team. I think they're a very good shot, but that doesn't mean that they're going to make the playoffs. Braves, we only know. Same thing with the NFC East. The Eagles, don't trust them. Giants, don't trust them. Cowboys, with their roster, you should trust them. Washington won it, but even then you can't trust them. Right? It's kind of interesting. But the NL East is going to be interesting, with the Braves. I think the Braves will probably win it. And like I said, before the season, I'll do all my division winners and stuff. I'll do all that. But it's the season hasn't nearing starting yet. But it's going to be really this is going to be a fun season. Because you've got whoever picks a Bauer is automatically much better than they were last season. Unless if they gave up a big piece. Unless if it's like I'm not saying this is going to happen, but let's say the Rockies come in and pick up Trevor Bauer. Like, that's not going to elevate their team that much. But if a Mets do, that's going to elevate their team. If a team like the Angels does, it's going to elevate their team. If a team like the Dodgers does, it's going to elevate their team. So, we'll see. But let's just look at Didi Gregorius' stats, because they showed a little bit, but I like to go into some of the other stats here. So, Didi Gregorius stats here. Let's see. So, his 2020 stats, he had 215 at-bats, 284 batting average, 10 home runs, 40 RBIs, 3 stolen bases, and an OPS of 827. MLB career stats, he had 3,311 at-bats, 265 was a batting average, 265 batting average, 120 home runs, 457 RBIs, and 33 stolen bases, and an OPS of 748. So, that's his career stats. Now, his career stats, definitely his batting average might have gone lower by the first 4 years of his career, but definitely 265 still up there. Let's look at some other stats. So, he played with the Yankees for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years with the Yankees. He's played in 911 games in his career. He's had 451 runs scored. He's had 877 hits. To put it in perspective, in his 2 years at Arizona, he had 47 hits, or 90 hits and 61 hits. In his 4 of his 5 years with the Yankees, he had 139 hits, 155, 153, and 135. He put up like career highs with them. He had more at-bats. He had more runs. His most hits in a year as a player came with the Yankees in 2016. We did 155 hits. He's had multiple doubles. He's had 155 doubles in his career. His most doubles in a season was also in 2016 with the New York Yankees, who were at 32 doubles. Let's see. So, third base. He's had 5 triples. That actually came with the Diamondbacks in 2014. So that was it. 2018, he had 5 triples. That also came with the Yankees in 2018. So, a couple 5 triples games. What's kind of funny is you look at the season where he had home runs. His most home runs in a season was 27 in 2018. And you look at the numbers at the home runs, right? He immediately got better. 7, then 6, then 20, 25, 27, 16, and then 10. RBIs... He had 87 was the most RBIs he had in a season. That was with the Yankees in 2017. So there it is. He's had a career, let's see, 457 RBIs, 120 career home runs. This is a guy, too, that doesn't strike out much. He's a 509 strikeouts in his career, but you look at that, that's a lot, but he's also played in 8-9 years, so that's going to be manageable. But you look at some of these seasons, like 28, 53, 69, 70, 82, 85, 52, 65. Some of these guys are putting up 120, 150 strikeouts a season. This is a guy that's only striking about 50 times a year. So, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. You can't hit anytime. Like I said, this is a guy too, 265 career batting average. It's a guy as well that's gonna be able to really hit. He hit those batting average. His best in his career was 2017 with the Yankees. He had a 287. Last season, He was only .3 under that. He had 284, 280, 268, 276, 265, and in the year before that, it was a 290. Slugging percentage has gone up. Really, to be honest, and I said this earlier on the podcast, really since he joined the New York Yankees, his stats went from about here to here, and they're only going up. In that last season with the Yankees, they took a little bit of a curve, but he got injured. It's not like he just had an off year. He got injured. Instead of playing 134 games, he played 82. There's a difference. There's a lot more chances when you play 150 games than when you play 82. He still played over half the games that season, though. So it's not like he missed. It's not like he only played like 30 games. He still was able to make one game over half, 82. So, and it's a guy that's going to be good. And, if I was a Phillies fan, I'd be very excited. I know this move happened a couple days ago, but I would be very excited. You got Real Muto back. You got Didi back. In my opinion, Real Muto, one of the best catchers in the league. And in my opinion, Didi Gregorius, one of the best shortstops in the league. And also one of the more underrated shortstops and underrated players to begin with in the league. Not many people talk about him. Part of the reason, too, because he's not a guy that's going to go out there and get the biggest contract. He's not a guy that's going to want it to be the media and the attention all about him. And there's always guys out there that are a little different. There's some guys out there that really struggle with New York, but this guy, Didi, he thrived in New York. His career got revamped with New York, and sometimes just the energy, the passionate fans and all that sometimes help you, and Didi was one of those guys that impacted in a positive way from that. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, so good deal for the Phillies. Coming up next, the MLB is planning on playing a full 162-game season. I will tell you why I'm excited and why this is big for the MLB this season. Coming up next. Alrighty, so MLB plans to start 2021 season on time after MLBPA rejects a 154-game proposal. That obviously happened a couple days ago. I was going to talk about it on the podcast, but I figured with all this out, you definitely talk about this. But, yeah, the MLB is starting their season, as it looks right now, on time for the 2021 season, which means February 17th would be the start of spring training, and April 1st would be opening day 162-game season, the normal year. I know there's a lot of people out there that like the 60-game season. I know there's a lot of people out there that really enjoyed it. It was kind of quick, fast-paced, one of those things where every game really, really mattered. If you were in that 25th game of the year, it was just very odd. It was odd seeing it. It was odd seeing some of these big name players. It was odd seeing the person with the most home runs having only like 23. It was odd. A lot of times that happens. You played less than half the season. You didn't even play 81 games. They played less than half. They only played obviously only 60. But all that, it was a good season. I thought it was good. Although I know the players and the coaches, it was a very odd year. They said how it was one of the oddest things they've ever been a part of. They said they never thought it would work, but it ended up working. Just with all the testing, with all the the protocols, the changes, the outbreaks, and it was just weird, they said. It was almost like a little bit of an odd feeling even walking into the stadium. No one was there. It was just one of those things where just people did not think it was going to work out, and sure enough, it did work out. We crowned the Los Angeles Dodgers as champions of the World Series champions of the MLB. So it did end up working out, but at the end of the day, it was definitely odd. It was definitely weird. And I'm not saying that this season's going to be back to complete normal. They're still going after the test. Coaches are probably still going to have masks on. More than likely, they said they're going to try to get the fans in the stadiums, but more than likely, it's only going to be a limited attendance with masks on. And the players itself will probably have to limit on some of these protocols. not going out and about, not doing this, not doing that. These after things event kind of get in, get out, do your thing, right? Show up at the stadium, play the game, come out, shower, do an interview, that stuff. No, really after game gatherings and stuff. Kind of go, wake up, go to the field, come back home, go to bed. Kind of that kind of stuff. It'll probably be like that. But at the same time, it's better that we're playing 162 than 60. I was like the 60 game season. I mean, it was baseball. We got to see I got to watch the Yankees for. Technically, I got to watch the Yankees for 65 games because they obviously played technically 67 games because they played the wild card series. They swept the Indians, and then they played 5. They went to the 5-game series against the divisional round. Ended up obviously losing the Rays. So I saw them play 67 games, but 60-game regular season games. So it's going to be fun to watch them play 162 again. I've always been a fan of 162 games. I know a lot of people say it's too long. People say it's boring. A random game on a Wednesday night is just boring to watch. If it was a 60-game season where the game really means much. To be honest, the atmosphere, the energy of the game was the same in a 60-game season as it was in 162. You're still going to play on a Wednesday night in a random stadium, right? Something like that. So that's going to happen. But, I think this is good for the MLB because eventually we're going to have to get back on track. Eventually these schedules are going to have to get back to normal. You can't just every year now play 60 random games or just play 154 games or something like that for no reason, right? We're gonna have to get back on track. So, I think it's a good way to do this, and I think it's a good start, and I think this is good too because, it gives them a lot of flexibility. You play 162 games, it gives you some flexibility, right? And I think the players too, now that they've all along wanted 162 games, I think the players too are going to maybe take it more seriously now. They realize, okay, it's 162 games. These not last season stats counted, but a lot of people took last season stats and threw them out. Kind of said, it was 60 games, abbreviated that stuff. But that wasn't the case. It was still a 60-game season. We still had a champion and stuff like that. So that's the same thing here with the 162-game season. Now this is kind of, people might think this counts a whole lot more than that. Now, there's still probably going to be some problems. I mean, there still might be some, outbreaks and stuff, and that's going to happen. But I hope that's not the case. But, obviously the goal is to get through the season cleanly and good, and we'll see if that happens. I think there's definitely a good shot at that happening. So we'll see how it goes. I'm going to read this long article. It's a really long article I have to read. So I'm going to read that and start that here. So MLB plans to start 2020 season on time after MLBPA rejects 154-game proposal. Major League Baseball announced Monday night that it intends to start spring training and 2021 regular season on time after the MLB Players Association rejected a proposal for a revised schedule. In light of the MLBPA's reaction of our proposal, and their refusal to counter our revised offer this afternoon, MLB said in a statement, "We are moving forward and instructing our clubs to report for an on-time start of spring training and the championship season, subject to reaching an agreement on health and safety protocols." Major League Baseball now releases its statement. So this was their statement. I want to see how long this was. This is long. That's too long. I'm just going to go read this. I might, if there's more time later, I'll do it. But, yeah. Early in the evening, the MLBPA officially rejected MLB's proposal to delay the start of the 2021 season and shorten the schedule to 154 games. Although player salaries would not be initially proportionated to a 154-game regular season, MLB proposal offers say no salaries or service time protections is event of further delays, interruptions, or cancellation of the season, the MLBPA said. The Major League Baseball Players Association today released the following statement on players' commitment to the 2020 season on time. This is what they said. Last week, the MLBPA, for the first time this offseason, received a proposal from the MLB to delay spring training and opening day by approximately 1 month. Under the proposal, the end of the season would be delayed 1 week. The regular season would be shortened to 154 games, and all 30 teams would be required to play several doubleheaders. Players would also be required to accept previously rejected proposals that linked expanded playoffs with expansion to the designated hitter. Although players' salaries would not be initially prorated to a 154-game regular season, MLB's proposal offers on salary and service time protections in the event of further days, interruptions, or cancellations of the season. The MLBPA Executive Board of Player Leadership reviewed and discussed the owner's proposal throughout the weekend and today, and the clear-cut result of these preparations on time for an on-time start for the 2020 season will accept MLB's commitment to again direct its clubs to prepare for an on-time start. We do not make the decision lightly. We do not make the decision lightly. Players know firsthand the efforts that were required to complete the abbreviated 2020 season, and we appreciate the significant challenges lie ahead. We look forward to promptly finalizing enhanced health and safety protocols that will help players and clubs meet these challenges. So that's what that said. Last season they went through a lot of negotiating, so hopefully this season just playing the 162 games will just clear that all up. As of now, spring training is set to go underway later this month with opening day scheduled for April 1st, so Major League Baseball plans to start on time. Camp scheduled to open February 17th and opening day scheduled for April 1st. ESPN Jeff Passan reported Sunday that MLB's tabled proposal was met with resistance on multiple fronts. In particular, some players were concerned the deal would grant Commissioner Rob Manfred power beyond what it currently has to cancel games and accordingly potentially cut into players' pay. Players cited how they've begun to increase their off-season workouts in preparation for spring training in mid-February as well. Pushing back the start of the season would require restarting the process all over again. According to Passan, MLB pointed to health experts on justifying a delay to the start of the upcoming campaign. A later date would allow for longer rollouts of the COVID-19 vaccine, thus allowing regions around home cities to better handle the pandemic. Along with the disagreement between the two sides, Yahoo Sports' Tim Brown reported some players don't believe playoff expansion will be a net benefit because it lowers the bar entry and takes some importance away from the regular season results. The offseason would seemingly provide ammunition for critics for expanding the postseason. The Chicago Cubs used Darvish, Tampa Bay Rays Blake Snell, and Cleveland Francisco Lindor just traded away star players after having reached the playoffs. The Colorado Rockies also announced Monday they traded Nolan Arenado to the St. Louis Cardinals. The Athletics' Ken Rosenthal reported Monday that the MLBPA will likely reject MLB's proposal and might not even counter. The union might enable a universal designated hitter or expanded playoffs, but consider it too late to change the 2021 schedule. So it looks like the 2021 season is going to be a good go. It looks like it's going to be a go. Now, last season there was a whole lot of negotiating that went on between the players and the coaches, or players and the commissioner's office with the salaries and all that stuff, and I got frustrated because I just want to see baseball. This season, hopefully that doesn't happen. It doesn't look like it is, because if they could just come into an agreement on playing a whole season, which is what the players want to do, they can. Now, a couple of things here, the schedule is not on here, but a couple of things here would be, just a couple of things here is, I don't know what they're going to do with the schedule, if they're going to do like AL East, NL East again play each other, then, NL West and all that stuff. I don't know if they're going to do that. I don't know if they're going to do, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if they're just going to go straight up say, you know what, this, and this, you play whatever, right? That's going to be interesting. I think, I think it's going to be interesting. Couple of things that I want to make clear here is the 9-inning doubleheader. I want to see that. I didn't like it last year. I didn't like the 7-inning doubleheaders. Personally, as a fan, I didn't like it. I would much rather watch 2 9-inning doubleheaders. Also, as a fan, I could not stand the runner on second base in extra innings. I did like the universal DH. I thought that was good. But I don't think they're going to bring that back. To be honest, I would love to see no runner on second base to start extra innings. 2 9-inning games if you're going to have a doubleheader, and also to play 2 or also to have a universal DH. Now, if we don't have a universal DH, that's perfectly fine because I'm not expecting that. But I am expecting the other stuff to be changed. And the players and fans have expressed it too. They didn't like it either. I didn't like it. Many fans didn't like it. I could not stand it. I just could not stand the runner starting on second base. How in the world could you give a runner that's on second base a free base when he didn't even earn it? It's definitely interesting. But we'll see. Like I said, this is all starting to develop and stuff like that. So that's what I got for the MLB season plan there. So that's exciting. Hopefully everything goes well with that. Now we move on to the other stuff here. College basketball yesterday, Texas Tech won, Drake won. Today we got Purdue, Maryland. Give Maryland the win. Baylor, Texas. Give Baylor the win. Iowa, Michigan State. Give Iowa the win. Tennessee, Ole Miss. Give Tennessee the win. West Virginia, Iowa State. Give West Virginia the win. Kansas, Kansas State. Give Kansas the win. Wisconsin, Penn State. Give Wisconsin the win. And in Indiana, Illinois. Give Illinois the win. As for... Hold on here. Yeah. So as for NBA, yesterday the Suns won, Grizzlies won, Kings won, Cavs won, Bulls won, Bucks won, Rockets won, Lakers won, and Hornets won. Knicks lost again. Like I said, the Bulls won. But like I said, the Knicks are going through a rebuild. I mean, they're going to struggle. They're a young team, still trying to develop. That start to the season they had, and it's not going to last that long. I mean, I knew it. I think we all knew that was coming. Today's games, we got Raptors, Magic. Give Raptors the win. Pacers, Grizzlies, give Pacers the win. Wizards, Trailblazers, give Wizards the win. Celtics, Warriors, give Celtics the win. And Jazz, Pistons, give Jazz the win. Tonight we got the Nets and the Clippers. Nets coming in this game 13-9. Clippers coming in this game 16-5. The Clippers are 1.5 point favorites. The over/under is 241.5 tonight. This game is on at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on TNT. So this game is nationally televised. Nets obviously coming off of a really bad loss. I mean, just a terrible loss. You know, we choked that game really late there. Just not a good game. We should have won it, but, you know, it was frustrating to watch, obviously. I guess I'll give the Nets the win here. We got to be better on defense. And the Clippers are a good defensive team. So we've got to be better on defense. You know, we're not going to be able to win games if we can't play defense. And that's one of the big things there. So hopefully the Nets win there. And as for the NHL, yesterday, Flames won, Lightning won, Canadiens won, and Bruins won. The Rangers also won yesterday, 3-1. We moved to 3-4-2 on the season. Our 3 goals came from Kreider. Chris Kreider scored a goal. Panarin scored a goal, and Kevin Rooney scored a goal. Panarin had 2 assists and a goal. He had 3 points yesterday. He had a big game. He obviously scored a goal late in that game. Kreider had a goal, and so did Kevin Rooney. So some good goals there. We had 3 assists. All the goals were assisted. None of them were, not assisted. All the goals were assisted there. With everything going on, around this team and stuff, it was really good to see the guys come together as a team and play really well. So we got the win. It was a big win for us there. And as for the games on today in the NHL, we got the Islanders, Sabres give Islanders the win. Canucks, Canadiens give Canadiens the win. Devils, Penguins, Stars, Blue Jackets give Stars the win. Coyotes, Blues give Blues the win. Flames, Jets give Jets the win. Hurricanes, Blackhawks give Hurricanes the win. Wild, Avalanche give Avalanche the win. Kings, Ducks give Kings the win. And Oilers, Senators give Oilers the win. So that's what I got for the hockey there. So good win for the Rangers there. And as for fantasy, let's see here. Get this up here. As for fantasy, right now in basketball, I am losing 206 to 179, but I've got a ton of players going tonight. These are the players I got going in tonight's games. I got Kyrie Irving, Bradley Beal, Jeremy Grant, Miles Turner, Jonas Valanciunas, Pascal Siakam, Kyle Lowry, Fred VanVleet, and Kemba Walker. And my injury report here is Jonas Valanciunas. Valanciunas COVID-19 protocols will not play in Tuesday's game against the Pacers, so he is still out there. He is still out, so we'll see what happens there. But yeah, that's that. And then as for fantasy hockey, I am currently winning 24-6. So really had a great performance yesterday there. Today I've got Anses Kopitar, Johnny Gaudreau, Braden Sheem, Brock Beausier, Nick Ehlers, Joe Pavelski, Jeff Petrie, Duncan Keith, Shea Weber, Adam Larson, and Jamie Benn. And my goalies today are Jacob Markstrom and John Gibson. I decided not to play Varlamov, Markstrom. Markstrom and Gibson will get the starts there. Jamie Benn, I activated him off of IR as well. So that's the other move there. And I made a move today. I activated Jamie Benn and dropped Erik Karlsson. Erik Karlsson was one of the defensemen on my team. Just was not playing well. Wasn't one of my early picks too. Just has not been performing well. So I dropped him. I'm still kind of looking for another defenseman, but I still want to see how these next couple games go. I might be looking to trade for a defenseman because currently I have the starting defenseman. I have the 5 starting defensemen. And I have 6 defensemen on my team, and I have 6 defensemen on my team and a ton of forwards. I only have 1 defenseman on my bench. So injuries, things like that, I would much rather. I had 2 defensemen on my bench and 2 forwards. Now it's 3 forwards and 1 defenseman. So I kind of want to find a way. I had to fill in a roster spot with Jamie Benn on the IR, so I put him on the IR. That added Joe Pavleski. Then I had to drop someone, so I decided to drop Erik Karlsson. I also picked up Adam Larson, who's the 3rd-ranked defenseman in the NHL in fantasy hockey. So I picked him up. He had a good game yesterday, continuing to play well. So I got to find a way to make a trade or pick someone else up. Got to get another defenseman on my team. But I also want to see how it plays out there. So, yeah. So that's what I got there. It was another pack sports today. Like I said, big win for the Rangers yesterday. Really, really, really happy we got that win. With everything going on off the team and stuff, we had to cut a player, release him and stuff and stuff like that. It really was well to see the guys go out, and we played well, too. It wasn't like one of these sloppy games where, we really dominated the zone. First period, we weren't able to really do well, but other than that, we dominated from the start, from that, And Shesterkin early on really struggled. He obviously allowed that early goal and just looked a little shaky early on, but he was able to settle in, and obviously Panarin got another goal, a 3-point game for him. And like I said, it wasn't one of these wins where we barely got it. We played hard. We went out there, we played really hard. So that was really good, and a good win there for the Rangers. And let's see if hopefully the Nets do the same tonight. So that should be fun to watch. And yeah, that will do it for the podcast here today. Hopefully everybody enjoyed it. As always, another good podcast. And yeah, with all that being said, that will do it for the podcast here today. I will see you all back here tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.